All right, let's bring in the crew. Two-time Super Bowl champion Brian McFadden and CBS Sports senior NFL writer Jonathan Jones. B-Mac, what's the bigger story here? That Carolina is 3-0 and got a win, or that Christian McCaffrey left and was immediately ruled out, hamstring injury, and J.C. Horn is believed to have a broken foot?
The biggest story, they're undefeated. In 3 ball games, they're undefeated. There are a few teams that are still undefeated in the National Football League, and the Carolina Panthers, they're one. And I don't think any one of us would have said this in the month of July, early August, that in 3 games, Carolina would be undefeated. Best case scenario, we probably would have said, 2-1, but they're 3-0. And I think when you look at the bigger story, we don't know exactly how significant the hamstring is for Christian McCaffrey. This is a Thursday night football, so they will have some extended days to get ready for the next ball game, which is against the Dallas Cowboys. So hopefully, because of the extra days of rest, he should be okay. He hopefully could be okay. If you're saying, if what you said about regarding J.C. Horn is accurate, we know he won't be playing next week if he did break his foot. But I think that's the biggest story for me, 3-0. I mean, this team has looked pretty good. And even without Christian McCaffrey, when they made the adjustments, knowing that number 22 wouldn't be in the lineup, the offense looked better than what they did in the second quarter when he went out abruptly from the ball game. So Sam Darnold has been a bright spot. DJ Moore has been a bright spot. They have some talented players on the defensive side that has all been bright spots, and they can rush the passer. So me personally, undefeated is the bigger story right now.
Yeah, this is a Pyrrhic victory for the Carolina Panthers. Simple as that. That with the loss of Christian McCaffrey, with the loss of J.C. Horn, they wouldn't have been able to beat the Dallas Cowboys if they were playing the Dallas Cowboys tonight. They were playing the Houston Texans, one of the worst teams in the NFL. So they were able to stay afloat. Credit to the Carolina Panthers still getting 100 rushing yards even before they were salting the game away there at the end of the game. Dante Jackson, I thought, played well, moving to cornerback 1 and on Brandon Cooks there for the second half of the game. But if they were playing a better opponent, I don't know if they would have been able to survive those injuries. And I am concerned, obviously, about J.C. Horn, because this is a guy who, tonight, he was targeted twice, allowed just 1 catch and 10 yards. And so now this entire season, he's only allowed 3 catches and he has an interception. You lose that. You lose the guy who's really sort of taken away and erased a wide receiver. That hurts a fantastic Carolina Panthers defense. Christian McCaffrey, we don't know the severity of that hamstring injury, but it was concerning how quickly the Panthers were able to rule Christian McCaffrey out. Almost as soon as he went into the blue medical tent, he was out for the game. And so when that happens, that shows me some concern for the Dallas Cowboys game next week, maybe even the Philadelphia Eagles game the following week. And that they're 3-0, yes, I am surprised by that. B-Mac, I wouldn't have thought back in July that they would be 3-0. I did think that they would be 2-1. I thought that they would have dropped the game week 2 against the New Orleans Saints, but that they would have won week 1 against the Jets, that they would have won against the Houston Texans. And really in the first 8 weeks of the season, they're going to get the Giants. They're going to get the Falcons. This is a team that I believe can be 5-3, worst case scenario, even with a 3-0 start, even with losing J.C. Horn and Christian McCaffrey. So right now, for me, it is the immediate. It's when they're going to face the Dallas Cowboys in a real measuring stick game, and they're going to be without J.C. Horn. And I'd say they're probably right now going to be without Christian McCaffrey.
I always like to see, whenever I can, to use on our expertise, whether it's sources covering a team or a guy that has been part of a team. I've never been on a team plane after a win. I'll say this, B-Mac. We have a lot of great people who work on this show that root for a lot of different teams from all over the country, including Carolina Panther fans and part of our great technical staff. They sort of have the attitude, it felt like a loss. Like they were mopey after the win. I mean, it was like, oh no. It didn't feel like a rah-rah. Is the plane ride any different in a game where you win, but you lose McCaffrey and you lose J.C. Horn? Or is it, hey, this is the NFL, next man up, hit the music, let's, have a lot of fun until the plane lands in Charlotte?
I mean, the plane ride might not be as fun because you won a ball game, but you lost one of the best NFL offensive players in the league. One of the best offensive players in the league. But that's the nature of the beast in the NFL. You always have to be ready. That's something that we emphasize in Pittsburgh. Next man up, and you always have to be ready because you don't know when your name is called. Chuba Hubbard did a pretty good job, given the opportunity. The offensive line kind of gathered together. But it doesn't matter who they have in the backfield. If you don't have Christian McCaffrey, you're not going to have that offense's best effort. So, yeah, it's a sour note, but you're 3-0, and we don't know exactly how severe the hamstring is. And hopefully it's something that won't keep him out of many ball games, to say the least, because you have a nice cushion. That's the thing. You have a nice cushion. No one thought they would be 3-0. I guess best case scenario, like I said, 2-1. So you have a nice cushion, but hopefully they can kind of gather the troops and play good football. And the defense needs to continue to play like they've been playing thus far, especially if you don't have number 22.
Look, we don't know the extent of the injury, and they do have the 10 days, not a week, because they're playing on Thursday, and they don't play this weekend, so they get a week from Sunday. Now let's go over to the other side of the ball, JJ. This defense did not allow any points in the first half. This was the first time they allowed any points in the first half, touchdown right before the half, but they only gave up 9 for the game. So they lower. They're still about 10 points a game, which is number 1 in the NFL. But did you feel like the defense answered any questions, took a next step, feel better about the defense, feel worse about the defense, same about the defense? This was Houston. It was Davis Mills. Talk to me about the Carolina D and how you feel differently, if at all, than you did when you woke up this morning.
I don't really feel all that differently. I think that the Carolina Panthers defense really proved themselves in week 2 against the New Orleans Saints, so much as an NFL defense can prove themselves just 2 weeks into a season. I thought, okay, Davis Mills played more capably than I think some of us were expecting. I think I was sort of expecting Davis Mills to go out there and just lay a complete egg. He did not show that he was an incapable quarterback. He was able to get the ball down the field. Obviously, he needed to hit Brandon Cooks, and obviously it was going to be tough to hit Brandon Cooks when he was matched up against J.C. Horn. And the Houston Texans seemed to have some life breathed into them when J.C. Horn did go out there. And of course, he was also missing a safety blanket in Danny Amendola. Didn't really have any semblance of a run game throughout this entire night with that sort of running back by committee that the Houston Texans have. But seemed like the Texans offensive line, up until the end when the Panthers were able to tee off on him, were able to hold up enough. He only went 1 for 9 on third down, so you wanted to see a few more conversions, but he struggled on third downs last week when he came in the stead of Tyrod Taylor with that injury. So, it's hard really for me to give a grade on Davis Mills, but he did play a lot better than I was expecting. And I think the Carolina Panthers defense proved themselves to be really exactly the defense that I thought they would be. A bend, don't break, and 9 points. It was a bad team, and it's a bad offense, and it's a rookie, and it was a third-round rookie, but it's still holding a team to 9 points in the NFL.
All right, give me a grade for Sam Darnold, JJ. What would you give me a grade for him tonight? Threw for over 300 yards, did miss some open guys. But overall, you throw for 300 yards, you put in the end zone twice, albeit with your legs, however you get there, and you get a win. And I know he had a couple of fumbles, but largely protected the football. I know they didn't lose those fumbles.
They didn't. They got lucky.
And that's part of it. Obviously. But if you look overall, this is a guy that completed passes, found his good players, his playmakers, specifically DJ Moore, and took care of the football by and large, especially in the air. Give me a grade for Sam Darnold.
Yeah, I'd give him an A-. And I would say that he led his team very well when Christian McCaffrey went down. That offense took a hit. We all saw that the air went out of the balloon for the Carolina Panthers when Christian McCaffrey went down. The fact is that they got up off of the mat after that. They looked like an offense that they were capable of being. They looked like an offense that, hey, yeah, we did lose our best offensive player. We still have ballers out here. We still have DJ Moore. I know Robbie Anderson didn't have that huge of a game. Tommy Tremble, tight end out of Notre Dame, was able to come up big there in the second half. 2 things about Sam Darnold. One that makes me give him an A-. What he was able to do against the blitz. 6 for 7 against the blitz for 60 yards. And so when Houston did send pressure, Sam Darnold found his hots and was able to get the football out of his hands quickly and for positive yardage. And then finally, in that last drive, when the Carolina Panthers were up by 8 points, getting that touchdown drive, a 12-play, 75-yard drive where he was able to convert on 6 first downs. I don't know what his passing stats were, but I don't think that a ball hit the ground. If it did, it was just once. Sam Darnold looked amazing in that sort of gotta have it. Hey, let's get some points on the board. Let's put this game out of reach. Let's not settle for another field goal. So because of those things, picking his team up off the mat, when the best offensive player, when the best player on the entire field on either side of the football for both teams went out. And then finally, when he had to do it there at the end, he did it. A- for Sam Darnold.
Yeah, I give him an A. I think when you look at Sam Darnold, he's starting to feel more comfortable in this offense week in and week out. Completed around 67% of his passes. He made some things happen with his legs. in a night where the pocket wasn't always ideal, he was still able to keep his head down the football field, go through his progressions, and hit the wide open pass catcher. And you can tell the relationship that he's established with DJ Moore is noticeable. You know, we're looking at being able to see where he is as their number one pass catcher. You look at Trimble, talented rookie tight end from Notre Dame. He has some pieces, and I think scoring 17 points in a half of play right when you look at Houston started to really, come alive was huge for their offense and huge for his confidence going forward. So me personally, I love what Sam has been able to do based on what we've seen from him in past years in a New York Jets uniform. He looks like a different player. Even tonight in the second half without Christian McCaffrey, he was so cool and calm and was able to do some pretty good things, especially against the blitz. They sacked him a few times, I think 3 times to be exact. But he never got uncomfortable. I mean, he was always cool, calm, and collective in the pocket, and threw for 300 yards and rushed for 2 touchdowns. So I give him an 8.
I would knock him a little because of the fumbles.
Yep.
It was only luck that they didn't become turnovers. Because if both of those were turnovers, you'd get a different grade. So I sort of was in that A- B+ level, but I don't have a problem with either of the grades. And I think everything you said was justified. And most importantly, his team got a win. He put it in the end zone twice, put up 24 points, did what he had to do, and adjusted when on the fly he was told his number one weapon was not coming back. Didn't blink, wasn't less efficient once Christian McCaffrey left the game. I certainly have to give him credit for that. Well done, gentlemen. Carolina going to 3-0. And look, traditionally they go to 3-0, they lose a Super Bowl.
Not bad.
Or at least the NFC Championship game, right? The only time that wasn't the case when they made the Final Four, football's version, was in 2002 where they started 3-0 and then the bottom fell out. I mean, I remember once upon a time with George Seifert, they won their first game in the last 15 straight.
First time in NFL history. Doug Marrone went ahead and repeated that last year.
Yeah, that was nice. And some people think maybe Houston could be in vogue to do that this year. That would end up being 16 straight because we play 17 games.
Want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis. No yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.